Today is May 1st, 2025, and the time is 4:30 p.m. I will now call this special meeting of the ISD 191 Board of Education to order. The purpose of this meeting is to prepare for interviews, interview candidates for the superintendent position, discuss information from the interviews, and name candidates who will continue for second interviews. We will also finalize the schedule for second interviews, candidate tours, and second interview questions and procedures. Finally, we will discuss, decide, and schedule the steps necessary for the rest of the hiring process. Before we begin, I would also like to note that this meeting will be recorded and posted on our district's YouTube page, starting on May 2nd. The candidate interviews will be made available for public review for 1 week from the time they are posted. After that time period, the candidate interviews will be archived and no longer displayed on our public 191 School Board YouTube channel. Director Mickelson, will you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Director Chester,
Second.
seconded by Director Alt. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, nay. The motion carries unanimously. We will now begin this evening's interview process. Before our first interview starts, I would like to call our executive search consultant, Barb Dorn, from MSBA, forward to share a few reminders and details for this evening's interviews.
Thank you, Chair Ward, directors. Very exciting day for ISD 191, your round one of superintendent search interviews. I just wanted to go over a couple of things to make sure you're comfortable with how this is going to unfold today. So just a few reminders. First of all, the EMD form is in front of you. You each have 4 copies of that because you do have 4 interviews. Please put your name and their name at the top. We want to make sure that we're able to understand who you are going to be rating after each interview. So their name, your name. Also, I would really appreciate it if you take super good notes so you can, during deliberations, remember what you really liked about these people. You have 4 outstanding candidates. One of the things that does help is as you go, jot down the things they say that resonate with you the most. You do not have to write down everything they say, but what most resonates. And at the conclusion of the interview, sometimes I just suggest, you know what, while it's fresh in your memory, jot down the top 3 or 4 things this person you thought really brought to the interview, okay? So while that's fresh. On the left side, there's a blank column. That is to identify who's asking which question, because we do want each of you asking the same question of each of your candidates. So I'm going to turn it back over to the chair for a moment. You can put your name here. You can list everybody's names in whatever order you're going, or just put a star by your questions. It's however you want to proceed with that.
So how would you guys like to do it? I'm going to start with the first question. Should you want to just go like
Let's go around
this way? Like,
And Chair Webb, one clarification, the light says we're on air. I wonder if somebody could confirm whether we are or are not on air. I know what I mean.
right,
I'm
does that just mean
imagining
we're recording? Okay, the light's off. Okay. Thank you. So we want to go this way, and then around back that way. So do you
Can I
want
just ask, the other day she mentioned, and maybe, I don't have a question I want to ask, but she did say that if there were any specific questions that any board members did want to make sure they wanted to personally ask, do we want to give people that option?
Okay.
If anyone has a specific question they want to ask? Guess not.
Okay, so do we want to go ahead then and write our names down by each of the questions so we could get that out of the way?
Number 3 is you, right?
I'm number 1.
We're 3.
It's 3, because 1 and 2 are our names.
Yeah.
But yes, the first
But
question.
3.
Oh, I'm
On
3.
page number
Okay,
3.
yes.
Okay, First question.
You're 5. Tyler.
Are we going-
6. I think so, yeah.
Don't skip a page like I did.
Scott, Rachel.
We're both AA.
Abigail, you're 9.
Jana, so I'm 11
So
then.
we're counting the same way.
Okay.
Leslie. Tyler. Hey, look, it ends with you. It does? Oh, cool. That works great.
Am I confused? Did I thought I thought we reduced it to 14.
It is 14.
It is 14.
14.
It's just that 1 and 2 are the.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
The electronic form requires the first two fields to be your name and the candidate's name.
No, because 1 and 2 are up here, so it counts all the way.
I gotcha.
Okay, so I'm just going to do a real quick check. So we'll start with Chair Word.
Yes, you're 16.
3, I'm just going to point 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, back to the chair, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Great, thank you so much.
Great.
Also remember that
Abigail asked the last question.
you can ask it, and then the chair usually fields the
Oh, it ends
question.
with you.
No,
No, it doesn't. It ends with her.
Abigail says the last
16.
question,
Yep.
number
Really?
16.
Why did I miss
There's
it?
14
No, no.
questions and 7 of us, so it should end with Abigail.
Right.
Everyone asks
Oh,
two.
well, then why did I miss one?
I don't know.
Must have
Okay.
skipped somebody somewhere along.
I'm going to move forward so I can go grab your candidate here in a few minutes and bring her in by 4:45. Please remember, no follow-up questions unless it's a clarifying question if you didn't understand an acronym or something that they share. We just want to make sure your candidates experience the same questions in the same order from the same board members. It can be helpful once your question has been answered, because they might look at you for whatever question they're answering or look around. It can be helpful if you say, "Thank you," when they appear to be done speaking, otherwise there can be sort of an awkward pause for the next board member to speak. You don't have to do that, it's just something that kind of indicates, okay, we've wrapped up that question, next. So you can say thank you if you'd like to, but it's certainly not required. I'm going to ask that you put your EMD ratings on here for at least the first 2 interviews. The reason for that is I'm going to send you the electronic link with these exact same questions during the second interview. I don't want you to start with the electronic link, because more often than not, you don't have your sea legs under you to kind of figure out what is an answer that exceeds my expectations. I've had too many people try the link right away, only to realize, once they've heard from 2 or 3 people, that they were way too hard on the first person. So the context you get from at least 2 interviews will give you that baseline of what an E, an M, or a D might be. And then you can go in during the breaks if you want to start entering them after the second interview. So I'm going to hold off and get that to you when the time comes. So for now, please use this, and actually all the way through use it, but input your results at a later point. All right, one question for you is, are handshakes okay? When I bring the candidate in, I'll introduce them. Some candidates have asked me, so I always check, may I shake hands with the board? During COVID, of course, and shortly thereafter, we never did, but I can certainly tell them not to if that's something the board would like to avoid.
I'm fine with it.
I'm
They come
fine.
up to the dais and just introduce themselves to each of you, and then they'll sit down and get started. Okay, sounds good. I want to make sure that's all right. And in terms of formality of the conversation, I'm assuming this district operates with the chair and director, right? Director, if they have questions for you, Director Hume, Chair Werb, et cetera. If they cannot pronounce your last name correctly, feel free to simply pronunciate it for them, but that formality is different from every board, so I want to make sure that's what you're comfortable with and what you're expecting from the candidates. Okay.
It might be helpful if we just, at the beginning, when we're telling them, how many years we've served, just
Your introductions.
say our name.
Yep, they'll hopefully hear that as well, so.
True.
All right, are there any questions for me? I'm going to be sitting over here. I'll be holding these up at about 30 minutes, 15. They will see me, and I'll let them know to look for me, but I will never interrupt their train of thought. So please don't watch the time. It might be at 29 minutes or, 28. I want to let them finish their thought, whatever question they're on, before I start waving these signs. So it will be approximately 30 minutes, 15, and 5 minutes left in their interview time. I also sometimes let folks go just a couple of minutes over. I don't want to bring this to a sudden conclusion, but I won't go much more than 2 or 3 minutes past their 1 hour before we actually call time. And then I'll escort them out and bring in the next candidate. Remember, this is an approximate interview time because some people don't use the whole hour. So if the next candidate is here and feels comfortable, I'll bring them in, but I'll check with you all first to make sure it's okay if we start a little ahead of time on some of the interviews. We don't very often go late, but we sometimes do go early. Okay, how you feeling? You excited?
Yeah.
Let's go.
I know the semifinalists are very excited as well. So I am going to head out and bring in your first candidate to begin the interview. All right, thank you very much. Be right back.
Let me find my script. Okay. Welcome back, everyone. Before we begin our deliberations, I would like to call Barb Dorn from MSBA forward to provide an overview of the EMD results.
Thank you, everyone. I'm not going to spend very long on this. I just want to let you know that this is one tool that you can use to deliberate this evening. It is not a ranking of candidates. Ranking of candidates is public data. This information is simply an indication of who you feel answered more strongly or where perhaps they didn't answer as strongly. So when you look at this, the only thing I'd say is pay attention to how many E's a candidate got, which has exceeded your expectations. That's good. Similarly, the more D's or disappoints a candidate has, not so good. But other than that, it is simply one thing for you to consider as you move forward, talking about the 4 candidates that interviewed with you today. Okay? With that, I'll turn it back over to the board for your deliberations. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll be sitting over here off to the side.
Thanks, Barb. Up next, we will share the strengths of Jenna Mitchler. Director Alt, will you please share 1 to 2 strengths that you saw in this candidate?
Jenna was very clearly grounded in cultural proficiency and inclusivity work.
I definitely really liked how Jen was very, obviously very prepared, and she gave very, kind of direct and concise answers.
Is it? I don't know. I'm not touching it.
And I liked her answer about, for question number 15, just the, with the dashboard metrics and the information support that she had concerning that when talking about the accountability with leadership team and district staff.
I would say, one thing that I was thinking of during some of her answers is that her answers had a good balance of the importance of data when making decisions, while also balancing that with the importance of the people with which she was working. So that's what I will say was something that jumped out at me as being a particularly positive.
I thought she did a nice job of just openly acknowledging the fact that there's often central office and school leadership divides, and how she would go about tackling that.
I definitely agree with that as well, but I liked her, she a few times referenced human-centered design processes that I appreciated.
I liked her comment about of accountability being, is how you're standing by the commitments that you make, and then what did you say you're going to do, and to check about it. I like that approach.
I liked her approach to underserved students and how she talked about opening doors. And, sorry, there was something else too. And then I thought it was important that she talked about implementing solutions from doing research. And the bringing forward data in order to find solutions and implement from doing the research. Let's see. Okay, so let's then share some strengths for Dr. Tyrone Brookins. Director Hume, would you please share 1 to 2 strengths that you saw in this candidate?
Yes, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, here's something that I appreciated. For the question about providing support to staff who may be struggling, talked about not just meeting with them to have a plan for improvement, but also a plan for sustaining that improvement over time, I wrote down. So I think that's really an important aspect of that, and I appreciate that he said that. I also really liked his gardening analogy at the end. We're just going to go in the same order.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
I liked, kind of, he talked about expectations throughout the organization and used the phrase, inspect what you expect, and how he goes about making sure everything is cascading through from the mission and vision and core values, going through the entire organization that way. And also, he gave a lot of just great examples that weren't theoretical. They were his life experience and like how he got into this field. And he's very clearly excellent work ethic, and I think very clearly one of those people who gets up in the morning to do exactly what they're doing. And that came across very clearly with him, I thought.
Yeah, I liked his general overall pleasantness to talk to. But I think something I had starred on here was for question number 10, when he's talking about coaching somebody, he said, we're not making the plan for the sake of the plan. And that his whole idea of the way he went about coaching people, I enjoyed.
I also appreciated how his approach to challenges and reactions to, differing perspectives, saying that his approach is to address with curiosity and, be open to understanding and learning, and I thought that was good. And I also appreciated that when seeing or witnessing any, buddy in the district struggling, whether that's, professionally, is that there's a first check-in on what's happening personally with them to maybe understand what, maybe what's caused. So I like that approach.
Oh, we're going, okay. I was impressed by his deep understanding of budgetary items. And also the means in which he explained the manner in which they handled the, getting ahead of their situation that occurred. And just the communication and the handling of the situation that came up, or just the intentional nature of the communication, and being transparent with community members and families about the issue that occurred.
I think what I appreciated was the combination of his prior genuine connection to the district, checking in with our staff based on, their experience, combined with the fact that he then really did a lovely job explaining how his experience, for me, really, is, it addresses what I'm looking for. I think what we're also, I don't want to speak for anybody else, but, the construction experience, the budget experience, accountability, it just, and he did so in a very down-to-earth fashion.
One thing that I had started was a comment about collective thought into problem solving. I really liked that kind of approach and kind of philosophy around it, I guess trying to come up with, I'm the last one to talk, but also kind of in that situation with question number 14, complex, sensitive issues and things. I think it's easy to just get so buried in, we've got to solve this problem and be working on that his comment about, needing to make sure the students were okay. Because I think it's easy to just get so buried in, we got to fix this problem, and you're working on that without, and kind of forgetting to check in with who's affected the most, and that was the students. So I really like that.
Next, we will share strengths of Dr. LaTanya Daniels. Director Alt, will you please share 1 to 2, or wait, I already said, sorry, Director Mickelson, will you please share 1 to 2 strengths with strengths you saw in this candidate?
More than once, she would refer to, working together and, my staff and, that we were or they were, and it just really seemed like, so very collaborative, and that recognition of, it's not all me, it's everyone as a team, or that, I'm giving, recognition to other people that were really a large part of, successes and things. So I really liked that. It really re-emphasized even more this idea of collaboration, I think, as, everybody kind of mentions collaboration, but I think that really evidences that. And then just, some of the real-world examples of how things changed and how she was able to make a difference in her positions. And so I thought that was really excellent to have some of those real-world examples of having an impact.
Okay. Not completely dissimilar from what Rachel just said. I would go with, I appreciated that she was talking about building trust within the staff. How when she came, or when at one point, a couple years ago, I think it was 77% of teachers said they felt supported by the administration, and that percentage increased by 10% in a year through some of the work that she had done. So I appreciated similar to one of my earlier comments about a different candidate, kind of that balance of the data and the person, I think is really important. And I appreciate that she not only talked about the relationship piece, but also had the numbers to back up the results, so.
I appreciated her answer on how she talked about general education being for everybody, and then from there, what else we need to layer on to be able to make sure everybody has the support they need to be able to maximize their ability and their potential with those other things, but tying it back to that, this needs to work for everyone from a general standpoint, and then build on top of that.
A couple things. One, I like that she's worked as a para, a teacher, a coach, an administrator, like all the way up. So she's done all the different roles from, having somebody who knows what it's like to be a para is impressive. Also, I really liked her answer for number 14, when she's talking about the unfortunate incident at their school that we all know about, that even though instinct was like, I don't oversee these people, that she took accountability for it, and in order to rebuild trust, had open communication, and willingness to immediately change policy and make it better.
Yes. I think on several of her responses, clarity and of, expectations was emphasized often, and I appreciated that because I thought that was it fits many of the needs in the role. I also really like the response regarding number 7, that experience informs outcomes. And that taking a different approach to engage the black male students in the district, when she was there, to take that different approach, because she involved them, made an impact happen. And so I really like that approach to innovation.
I was really impressed with her answer to number 10, and that she referred to herself as a coach and a mentor. I think that's real high quality to have in a leader. I also, I liked that she referred to the strategic plan a lot in a lot of her answers, just saying, seeing how that aligns with a lot of the work that we do, and being cognizant of that.
I too noticed her looking back to, always returning to the strategic plan. Appreciated the focus on clarity to minimize confusion, and the varied and intentional, and in my experience, some new ways that she engaged with different members of the school community, both within the schools and outside of the schools. I appreciated that.
Did we start with you? Oh, okay, thank you. Okay. Up next, we will share strengths of Becky Brodier. Director Saxey, will you please share 1 to 2 strengths you saw in this candidate?
Sure. Really liked the idea of empowering staff to be innovative yet responsible. I think that fits well with a district that has a lot of good things going for it, but wants to keep pushing the envelope on different things. I think that'd be a great approach. She also returned quite a bit, similar to we've talked about some of the other candidates, but the idea of cascading our mission, vision, core values down through the organization came up repeatedly, and her different answers of all different examples of how we go about doing that.
Couple things. I liked her answer also for number 10, that accountability begins with being predictable, with predictable and clear expectations. That she would ask, what are the barriers and how can I support you? Things. I also liked her answer to 13 as well. That not just, I liked that she had the whole process included in that answer, from pulling out the priorities from the strategic plan to having an inclusive design process, and communicating and getting feedback from the community and staff, and that she's had experience with budget reduction process.
I appreciated, and it was very evident that she lives transparency, which, and I think is, it's something we have as a value, and so I thought that was a good value alignment. The other thing I really appreciate, because I think as she gave the example, I think it also kind of almost touched on some of the other questions we were asking, which was the approach to the transitions program going from 2 buildings to 1, and the impact of redoing boundaries and community and all of that. I thought was, gave me a real good sense and appreciation of the approach that was taken.
So I liked, sorry, there was a couple of things here I was just trying to, I liked her response to number 8. She talked about being transparent, honest, caring, reliable, sincere. And then the listening and learning. I just felt like those were all very important words that she used. And then question 15, I liked when she talked about when she said shift and adjust. That resonated with me. Just being able to redirect somebody who, if something isn't going right, how do you change or maybe redirect or shift? You just, try and take a different course. And I just like the way she stated that.
Some of Becky's statements led me to see her as facilitator, right? What can I do to help? Work alongside, hands-on. How do we support change? And along with the boundary change, that is a huge undertaking, right? And for an assistant superintendent to manage that in a large district, in a section of the district that's about as large as ours, was just notable for me. And I particularly appreciated the statement, Tier 1 is our promise to our families. Mm-hmm. And then talked about the enrichment that comes beyond Tier 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think kind of, to your comment of facilitator, her comment about with question 11, as far as the autonomy of principals to meet the needs of their buildings, that it's, she helps to provide that framework, then she gets out of the way. You know, I mean, it's kind of the impression I got, which, you know, definitely I appreciated. And also, one of the comments one time about, you know, around the boundary change and various things that, you know, explain to the board why we got it wrong the first time and how it won't happen again. And, you know, that idea of, I'm the face of this, these were decisions that may or may not have been made under my tenure, but I'm the face of the district. I need to, you know, move forward with what is there and, you know, take ownership of it, and but also just, you know, own up and problem solve. I just kind of appreciated that approach.
Thought I was going to get to say my answer, and you said it there at the end. But what I will add, even though it's also already been touched on, is I really appreciated her approach to budgeting. It was very apparent not only that I can see her approach being something that is very effective, but also during that conversation, it was apparent that she had done her homework in researching the district budget, our history. Really wasn't only applying her answers to her past work, but also really kind of processing and thinking through what it might look like if she were the superintendent here. So I liked that aspect of it.
I mean, it could be like the wild, like making a.
Okay, so I just want to clarify, Barb. So we can each individually share who we're leaning towards? Okay.
Just one, or I guess
One or two, it could be like one, or it could be 1, 2, 3, I don't know. However, it's like however many you're leaning towards. Well, if you don't mind, I'll just say I'm leaning towards, personally, Rebecca and LaTanya. We can do it however we want. Is that what my understanding is?
Yeah.
Barb?
Each of us has to speak.
Yes, it's individually share who you are leaning towards, inviting back for a second interview.
What does that mean?
I would like to also see Becky and LaTanya back.
I'm leaning towards Rebecca and Tyrone.
not me.
That's me,
No.
sorry.
I would also be leaning towards Becky and Tyrone.
I'd love to talk to the three, Tyrone, Latanya, and Becky.
I mean, I can,
You go, please.
okay. So I'm a Libra, so I am so indecisive. But if I had to narrow to two, because I'm kind of like Rachel, I'm like, I could go all three.
I'd love to hear more from all three.
But I think I am, oh, it's so hard.
It's okay, you can say 3.
I might say three, but if we have to narrow down to two, I would probably lean towards Rebecca and Tyrone.
And who's the second one?
Tyrone. But
Yeah.
I'm totally go for all three.
There are 3 really strong candidates. It's a good problem to have.
Completely.
Yeah, I have to say I am leaning toward, I really feel like hearing from all 3. I really like, there's more information.
There might be more
questions,
questions that we
yeah.
have for all 3 of them. Yeah, I kind of feel that way too. I guess if we had to narrow it down right now, I would say, but yeah, I could see talking to all three of them again.
I'm not opposed, because even though I only said two, the third one was a coin flip for me, so, yeah, I'm absolutely not opposed to three.
We're slotted.
Just means another late night, but that's okay, that's quite okay. It's
We're
worth
slotted
it.
for three people for the,
Wednesday next week,
yeah. Our original schedule. Right, three?
were we?
The schedule does have up to 3.
Up to three.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
Yeah, we need to.
yeah, that would really. What?
You can't think of any questions. I think that's not what we're textbook next. It's
Yes, is the questions. Okay, so, all right, well, is that what we want to do? Oh, that's the three.
So are we in,
We're agreeing on
think we're
Tyrone,
agreeing.
Latanya, and Becky.
Yes, yep, okay. I move to extend an offer for second round interviews for the Burnsville-Eagan-Savage District 191 Public School Superintendency to the following candidates: Tyrone Brookins, Latanya Daniels, and Becky Brodeur. Moved by myself, seconded by Director Anderson. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everyone. At this time, I would like to call Barb Dorn from the Minnesota School Board Association Executive Search Team to come forward and walk us through our next steps in the process.
Terrific. Congratulations. I am going to give you two things to take a look at. One is the proposed schedule for round 2 with 3 spots. And I'm also going to give you the proposed round 2 questions for you to review. And then while you're doing that, I'm going to step out and call your semifinalists and just give you some time individually to take a look at these questions, okay? First.
Oh, that's important at this point, for sure.
So first, we'll talk through that schedule, and then we'll talk briefly about these questions, and then I'll back up. Good night. Are we doing lunch?
Good night.
Bye, Wendy.
5, see?
Thank you.
Is there 5 there? Oh, no.
You're going to have to narrow it down at some point, Leslie.
Choose 75% of these questions.
So first, the schedule, if we can get to that first. What I have on here would hold true then on Wednesday, May 7th, that you'd call to order at 5:30. I don't need any housekeeping because you understand how the process works. I'll have an EMD link to you, et cetera. You could interview the first person at 5:35, the second at 6:50, the third at 8:05. Take a break, and probably by 9:15 or 9:30, start your deliberations about a final selection. Does that still look okay?
Would we still need, or would we be predetermining the ordering of who's asking the questions again?
Yes.
Within that 5 minutes? Or tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
And so this supposition that it's a 1-hour interview. One of the things we're going to circle back to is after you've looked at the questions, depending upon how many questions you have, do you want to go 1 hour and 15 minutes per interview, 1.5 hours per interview? 1 hour is pretty standard unless, for example, the first question that I'm proposing, question 3, some boards, not all, not very many, include that and give an extra 15 minutes for that purpose of question 3. And so the hour and 15-minute interviews to accommodate that. Otherwise, other boards, some just ask, 8 questions and that. Or don't ask that and ask 12 questions. So you notice tonight in 1 hour, everyone finished almost exactly at 1 hour with 14 questions. So that's a nice number for these folks. So we'll get to that in a second, but can I assume this is okay for now? And
Yes.
then, does Sarah want to mention anything about the tours at this point relative to the round 2 schedule?
Yeah, I could share a tentative doc of schedules and get feedback of what you guys are thinking. I'll share that with you all right now.
So they will occur that day. The tours are a great way for candidates to get to know more about the district and also meet some of your administrators. So while that's occurring, and then while I step back out again, I'd like you to look through the questions, same process as before, individually. I'm only suggesting, for example, the opening question could be 1, 2, or all 3, or none of those. But you certainly could consider those 3. And then the miscellaneous category, there, you could choose 5 individually. It's not an exact science, but there are a lot of different areas, but they can be really good round 2 questions sometimes. So try to choose 5 individually. And then in each of the following areas, I've yellow highlighted the areas in the stakeholder summary report that rose up, particularly for your staff and your parents and guardians, the 2 largest groups. So in that case, you could choose 1 of 19 and 20, 1 of 21 to 23, and so on and so forth for each of those yellow highlighted areas. The back page I didn't yellow highlight because they were still in that report and/or had been suggested to me by some of the board members that we might want to touch on these areas. So, but that would be a lot of questions. If you feel, for example, on some of these areas that are highlighted, you learned enough tonight about these 3 people to not have to ask another question in that topic, you could certainly skip it. These are just suggestions. You can ask as many or as few questions as you want to, so this is just a place to start.
Quick question, maybe it's on this last page, when we were deciding on the round 1 questions, there were a couple that we said we want to ask those in round 2?
Yep.
Which ones are those here?
6 and 7 with the little asterisks by them.
Okay.
Thank you for asking that, because I forgot to mention what the asterisks mean, and that is because you said that could be a round 2 question. So, thank you. Okay, if I step out in the hall and make some calls, are you good then to just start tallying? Okay, I'll be back shortly. Thank you, everyone.
See, but I feel like some of them answered, not others.
I sort of agree.
We're not doing regular yet. No, just kidding. Sorry. Kidding.
Here we go.
bunch of Post-it notes and string on a board.
Did you have a chance to finish looking through questions? You haven't already discussed or decided, correct? Okay, so can we do a real quick tally just to kick things off and see where we land?
Raise our hands.
Okay, so if these were your most interested questions, please let me know. Question number 3. 1, 2, 3, 4,
5.
5.
No.
Sorry, oh, I didn't see you, thank you. 5, okay?
It's late.
It is late.
Yeah, you said, she said 3, so I didn't raise for 3. I'm going to raise for 4.
Question 4.
There we go, me.
4, okay? Question 5.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
I thought they were, I did all
Sorry.
3 of them.
No.
Yeah.
And some boards do all 3, and some choose 1 out of 3, because any of these could be an opening question.
Yeah,
And some boards feel like it flows better to ask all 3 of them, so I didn't want to really limit you on this one.
got it. I was just thinking
I
of
thought this was
time.
all one thing, and it was just, these were the steps of how we were gonna talk about them.
Ah,
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna present, and then we're gonna say thank you for that
I think
presentation.
if we do, my opinion, if we do 3, we have to do 4, and no matter what, I think we should do 5. But
Sure.
that's just me. Sorry, I don't want to wreck your
Okay,
process.
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Why don't we come back to the opening question,
but
because it
does
kind
that,
of
does that
depends.
make that, I mean, based off of how many questions there are, does that eventually make that an hour and a half interview?
Well, we can.
I think hour and
we
15
don't have to
minutes.
have all
Yeah.
this.
So,
If we do it.
can I just say, the reason I did not want 3 is because I feel like putting in a presentation, I think for people, it can be hard to gauge how long a presentation might take. And even though you're going to say 15 minutes, that could go more than 15 minutes. I just,
That's part of the test.
That is part of the
Right.
test.
And the superintendent has to present to us like every meeting. Yeah, so it's like a good,
And to staff.
Right.
Yeah.
true, but
they should be
it's,
good at that by now.
yes, but it'll extend the evening.
You can ask less questions.
True.
We don't need to ask every category.
Right.
Okay, we'll circle back, because it does affect the length of the
come
interview,
back.
how many questions.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
if you chose 5 in the next category, please let me know if you liked these. How many liked 6? 4, 5. Question 7? 2. Question 8? 1. 9? 2. 10? 3. 11? 1, 2. Okay. 12. 4. 13. 2. 14. None. 15. 1. 16. 2. 17. 6. 18. None, okay? Next category, if you chose one in this, 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 20. 1, 2, 3. Next section, 21 and 23. How many chose 21? 1, 2, 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 23. 1, 2. All right, thank you. 24 to 26. Did 24 was your choice for how many folks? None. 25? 6. 26? 1. All right, the next section, 27? None. 28?
Sure.
That doesn't mean we're going to ask it, that's just if you feel like that category needs to be asked about,
yeah.
then it would be in there, so. In the next section, how many had 29 as a choice? None, 30. 2 and 31. That'll be 5. Next area, 32. 2, 3, 32? 5. And 33, 2. Thank you. Next section, 34, 5. 35, 1, and 36, 1. Question 37, 1, 38, okay, if, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the last section, 39, 1, 40, 2, 3.
I was in 40 also.
40 was 3, and 41, 1. Did everybody vote on that one?
I didn't vote, I didn't vote for any of them.
Okay, okay. That makes sense then, so that we're at 5. And then you could do the closing question again, if you chose that. So now let's go back and we'll pick some that definitely had support of a lot of the board. It looks like question 6, you had 5 people, choose 6, and I'm just going to go for the heavy hitters here. Question 12 had 4. Question 17 had 6. 19 had 4. 22 had 4. 25 had 6. 28 had 7. 31 had 5. And 32 had 5. 34 had 5. 38 had 6. And the rest of the sections didn't have 4, so that wasn't a majority. Of those I just mentioned, I'll tell you how many we have, and I'm not counting the first 3 questions yet. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Closing question would be 12, and then 12, 13, 14, 15 if you ask all 3. So that's 15. I did include the last question.
What questions do you have?
For us?
I think you have to ask that in an interview.
Because I might actually have extra, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was included in there. So you'd be at 15 if you asked all 3, 4, and 5, and then each of those. So now my question for you would be, when you go through these categories, are there some of the categories you don't feel you need to ask a question in that area because you learned enough tonight? I don't want to duplicate answers next week.
I think the collaborative leadership is one that
Yeah.
I feel like came up a lot tonight.
Yeah.
28 under strategic planning, we all voted
Yeah.
for it out of the 2 questions there, but we covered that quite a bit tonight.
Yeah.
Also true.
Yep.
So could we skip those 2 categories?
Not
Okay, so
really.
we'll skip question 19, and we would skip question 28, right? Skip 28, okay?
And the other thing we could do is look at the ones that had 4 votes. Those are lower if we wanted to.
You could.
And right on that.
The tricky thing with the 4 votes is there were more questions to choose from.
Right.
So if there's only 2 questions, some of them had 5 votes, but if there were a bunch, you know what I'm saying, it dilutes it a little bit, so it's
Right.
tougher.
I would also vote like this, because we kind of addressed social emotional support services also.
Tonight?
Yeah,
Which question?
32.
32.
I hear you, but what I like about this one is the part of it, other than hiring more staff, how would you implement?
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of just throwing money at the
Right.
problem.
That's what I was curious about.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
And I also like that it referenced not just students, but parents and staff too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like we would not ask questions in the category of 39 to 41. I'm going to cross that category out. We didn't have even 4 votes for any of those,
Yep.
okay?
And so that gives us 10 questions plus the presentation. And that seems like a pretty good time. Thank you. 10 questions plus the presentation would be a good, like, timing-wise,
I still think it'll go over an hour, though, because if the presentation itself is 15 minutes, and then you're asking them to share more, and then and then we have another
it's really
question after
like-
that, I'm
Yeah.
thinking this is more
Plus
like a
12
20 to
questions.
30-minute presentation.
Yeah.
The first opening part, I'm thinking is like.
The opening part is, because you got the presentation and then the two follow-up questions
Yeah,
after the
I'm thinking
presentation.
it's like
Right.
20 to 30 minutes.
But we don't have to do all three.
We don't have to, we
Right.
could, I would say, get rid of number 5.
Yeah, I would too.
Okay, yep, I would agree.
Yeah, I think since we already have do you have any questions for us at the end? And if
Yeah.
there's something they forgot to bring up, hopefully it would surface in one of their other answers.
Yeah.
Well, and we could change the question. It could be, do you have any questions for us, or is there something that you realize you didn't share but would like to?
Anything else you want to tell us?
I like that.
For the very last question?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a good one.
Combine 40 to
Is there
5.
something that
Yep.
we haven't covered or that you would like to make
Is
sure
there
we
anything
know?
else we need to know?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yep, yep,
I can
yep.
find a way to word that.
Yep, yep.
Thank you.
Great.
Sweet, sweetness.
Okay, so it's still 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So question 3 and 4 are both in, am I hearing that? Questions 3 and 4.
Yep.
Okay. During question 3, I'll be keeping time as well, 5 minutes left, because I want to make sure it's in 15. During that presentation, do you want it to be a PowerPoint that's up on the screen while they're talking? Do you want them standing with a clicker? Do you want it just in hard copy, handed out to you? When you say presentation, what specifically are you asking for? Because I want all 3 of them to do the same thing.
I mean, in their role as soup,
Yeah.
it's usually a PowerPoint, so
Yep.
I would say something visual,
Okay?
save a tree.
Okay?
Yeah, yeah.
That too.
And an opportunity,
Right.
and an opportunity to see them.
Speaking, okay?
Right.
So PowerPoint and stand.
Yep.
Well, I mean, they can sit like you are, like
Maybe the
everybody.
letters are sitting at the.
Everybody
sitting
sits
up
down, so
there.
they-
There's a
Yeah.
computer that they'll just click through from
Okay.
there.
And
Yeah.
come prepared maybe with that PowerPoint presentation printed out with enough for all of us, just in case the technology doesn't work.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
To be able to have that just as a backup.
I mean, it usually works, but it's not a bad
Exactly, I
idea.
mean, I'm just.
One time we don't.
Exactly, the one
You
time.
can take
I'm not
notes on
prepared.
it as they're speaking also.
Right.
Yeah. So
Do you
Murphy's Law
also
would
want
be
the
prepared to
flexibility
have-
to ask questions during that 15 minutes? Or do you as a board want to wait till they're done and then ask questions just about that? Or not?
I think we have question 4.
Yeah, I'd rather it be more similar to what we do during a normal meeting, which would be the full presentation, and then we would ask questions, which we, like you just said, we already have a question
Yeah.
Yeah,
to ask.
yeah.
Okay. So full
Otherwise,
presentation
it's never be done
without
15 minutes if we
interruption.
start
Right,
interrupting.
Okay.
yes,
Full presentation without interruption.
yep.
Yep.
Yes.
And then when they're done, if they're at 10 minutes, do you want to just launch right into question 4? Or do you want to be able to ask the follow-up questions?
Just go into
Got
question
it.
4.
Okay. Question 3 and question 4, thank you for clarifying. Question 6, we'll ask. Does anyone want to ask 7 through 11? You can advocate for any of those if you want to. Going once, twice?
The only one I think I was the one who voted for this, was the one about community members who do not have children in our schools.
No, I raised my hand for that one,
Did
too.
you also? Okay.
Yes, I did too.
That is a substantial portion of our community's population.
Yep,
Yeah.
It can probably be tied in with the community member feeling they've not been heard, which we've already said we're going to ask. I don't know,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's
Could weave
worth
it in there?
Yeah.
adding, including community members who may not have children in the district or something. Maybe it's just a way to
Okay.
mention that without adding an additional question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And are we recording this?
Right now?
I think so.
yes.
And it'll be on YouTube? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh, whoops.
So we'll just be a little careful, because some candidates might watch the meeting and learn what questions are versus others may not. So we'll try to be careful and just not wordsmith too much, since it's being recorded and posted on YouTube.
Good point.
Okay? All right, so we will weave together question 10 and 6. It'll be one question, though. Okay? Great. So we are then at 1, 2, 3 questions. Okay. So moving on to the next page, there were 6 votes for 17, so I think we should ask 17.
Yeah.
There were 4 for 12. Do you want to keep winnowing it down before we decide whether or not to keep some of these questions?
Let's keep winnowing it down.
Keep going, okay. The bottom category, there were 4 votes for 22.
Oh, wait, did we strike 12 then? Or do we keep?
We just were just
12
putting a
and
pause.
17?
Pausing, good, okay.
Yes.
I wasn't sure what we were going.
Wait, what did Winnow tell me?
22, or do you feel you got enough out of answers tonight to not ask 22?
I would like to hear a specific answer to 22.
Yeah.
Yes,
I would-
uh-huh.
Though it did
Okay.
come up, but I would
Yeah,
like to
that-
hear.
Okay, so that's one we need to ask.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
22, got it. 25, I have circled,
Yes.
6 of you chose 25, so that's definitely in. We're skipping the next category.
Yep.
How do you feel about 31?
I could take it or leave it.
I mean, I kind of like it because, I don't know, to me, or how to kind of tie 31 somehow into budget and finance, because I see these as, I mean, you have to address and be looking at curriculum in the kind of environment that we're in with financial concerns and just what do you keep, what don't you keep? I just,
I don't know about the second part of that question because I feel like a lot of them touched on that question already.
I agree with you, yeah.
Funny, because I
Yeah,
like the
and
second
so-
part of that question better than the first part of that question.
well,
But I'll go
and so,
through.
and so I'm wondering if, like, you know, especially like the first part of the question would be, you know,
Careful.
curriculum
Don't-
in,
Don't say it.
We're not saying what's in the question.
I'm just saying one word, and finance, somehow tying those two topics together.
And eliminate that second part of the question? Would we remove that second one, or does someone really like that second question in 31?
Well, I think we heard about the first part. I think it's the second part that maybe, I don't know.
I feel like we heard about the second. I felt like I heard a lot of what would be asked in the second question, the second part of the question, if you're talking about 31. I feel like we got a lot of that. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I'm okay.
We could
with-
strike it.
I'm okay with striking it, actually,
Yep. Okay.
but that's just one opinion.
Is the wording of the first part going to be clear? Like, do they think we're asking about, like, right now, what would you say? Or are we asking for the process to do
yeah.
that?
Yeah,
Right,
good point.
'cause,
That's what I
like,
was
You don't know
wondering.
Yeah.
our stuff. They have to do, it has to be generic. And
Right.
that's,
Right, and then, I mean, yeah,
that's confusing.
part of the first 100 days.
Yeah, you could say that.
Yep.
In your first
Yes.
year, even.
Okay, I'm still advocating to strike this question.
We're still hoping to wordsmith. Why don't we circle back to this one also, Will? That one and question 12. We're not saying we're not asking them, but question 31 and 12, let's just wait and see how many other questions we
maybe.
have where you're in agreement. Did 32 get kept?
I thought so, but.
Yep.
Yeah, I think we did
Okay,
keep
so we
it.
asked that one. Got it. 34, should we keep that one?
I think it's a hot topic for the community. I think they'd want to hear that.
Yes.
So we asked 34? Mm-hmm. Yes,
And,
okay.
and also the nuance of there was a first part in the second sentence. There's the first part and then there's the second part in terms of, and usually we just talk about the first part.
So 34 I've circled as a yes. What about 38?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it came up and.
It's an important,
Okay.
it's an important
Yeah.
topic for us right now.
And then 42 modified to include, or is there anything else you'd like to share with us, kind of thing? Okay, so I'm just going to let you know which ones I've circled heavily, which means a yes, okay? Question 3, 4, 6, and I'll be weaving in 10 on that one. So 3, 4, and 6, 10. 17, 22, 25, 32, 34, 38, and 42. That's 10 total. And we were still going to think about, so 10 total, and we were going to think about 12 and 31, which will put you at 12 total if you kept those two.
Mm-hmm. 12 and 31?
Right.
I don't think I voted for it earlier, but I think we need to ask 12.
I really do like 12.
I would keep 12 over 31.
Yes,
Same.
I agree.
Yes.
Yeah, I would agree too, especially in light of the developments that we're gonna have on properties and stuff. I think that's really
This is
important.
what I was implying, exactly.
Yes.
As usual, we're in agreement, Leslie.
So that is 11.
At least I know Burma.
Do you want to stay in an hour with 11 questions, including the big one? Or do you want to go an hour and 15 minutes
I think
and
an
do
hour
12?
and 15 minutes.
Yeah,
Because I don't want them to feel rushed to answer their other questions once they
Okay.
do the presentation.
yeah.
But you're saying an hour and 15 for the 11 questions, or do you want to add a 12th?
No, I'm saying an hour and 15 minutes, including the presentation time per interview. Isn't that what you just asked?
Yeah, she was asking, but it would be 11 or 12 questions total then.
Oh, sorry, I misunderstood the
No,
question.
that's okay.
And we had 14 tonight?
You had
14 tonight.
A couple people were pretty rushed at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. The first question alone, the second round is going to count for 3 from a time perspective.
Oh, true.
I would rather build in a cushion, just,
Yep.
I mean, if they end early,
where
great,
I'm
we
at.
get a little bit of a break, you
Yep.
know?
Yep.
So like an hour and 15 with 11 questions, is that what we're saying?
What's the possible 12th question?
Wait, is there?
31.
There isn't.
No.
I thought we already,
No, we
31 was a
struck
possible
I thought
12
we-
question, but
And we
Ag
we
31
struck that.
already.
struck
No.
31? Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
So the schedule that you have right now for next week is an hour and 15-minute start times.
Right.
So if someone went an hour and 10 minutes, you'd have a 5-minute break before the next interview.
Okay.
So we could still do an hour and 15 minutes with a 15-minute break after, or we could try and do an hour and 15 for the interview and a 5-minute break.
Yeah.
It's just,
We're gonna need-
I don't want it to get,
Yeah.
you know, super, super late, but I can do whatever it is you want me to with the schedule.
I'd vote for the hour and 15 with a 5-minute break.
Same.
Okay. Yep. Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
1 hour, 15-minute interviews, 5-minute breaks. And if we're running ahead of schedule or a little behind, it's, you know, everything's tentative. Okay, with 5-minute break. Okay. That's what I will reconfigure this schedule to be. And I also wanted to let you know, I spoke to the 3 folks you've identified as finalists. Every one of them accepted and is very excited to come back next week.
Great.
So congratulations on that as well. I want to revisit the questions one more time to make sure I wrote down the right ones, okay? So if you have your notes, and then I'm going to collect these back from you if I could also. I've circled 3, 4, 6, 10, 12, 17, 22, 25, 32, 34, 38, and 42. Modification. We're good? All right. If you could pass all the questions to one end or in the middle, I'll collect those and take them back and
What
shred
about,
them.
what about all the applicant stuff?
Like, do you want
Like
all our notes too?
Keep them for now.
Oh, okay.
After round 2, you'll want to turn all of those in to your
Okay.
HR team.
Okay.
I thought you'd want them.
So procedurally, that's all I had for you tonight. I do want to leave you with just 2 quick thoughts. Thank you. There you go. 2 quick thoughts. It's been a long night. I appreciate you hanging in there because this is a lot to absorb. You will be tired, but enjoy your weekends. I would encourage you, before Wednesday, go back and look in Revelis at the 3 people and look in depth at their answers to the questions that they wrote out, look at their letters of recommendation, really try to understand who those 3 people are before you come back on Wednesday. And please go back and reread the public survey report to refamiliarize yourself with what's important to your stakeholders. Those 2 things, I think, between now and Wednesday will prepare you very, very well for your round 2 interviews.
I'm sorry, guys, I have a question. So you're going to be doing reference checking or whatever calls. When do we get information on that?
During the deliberations of round 2. So you'll go through strengths on the 3 of them again. The reference checkers will give a very high-level overview of what they learned about folks, and we've already talked about that, but we'll visit again tonight if you'd like to. And then you start your deliberations. So it's built in there, EMD, strengths, references. But it's very brief. I think what they're looking to do is to confirm what you feel like you already know about these people, or identify potential issues, in which case they're going to call me and talk through how to report that out in a public meeting. So if they hear something once, it's a one-off. If they hear something twice, they're going to call and talk to me about that, because we want to make sure we're being fair to the candidates and not sharing hearsay from references, because they're not limited to the list like we were from the applications. They can call anybody. And anyone in a leadership position will have people that are not their biggest fans, right? Leadership is tough. So if they run across a couple of people that you randomly have called and don't care for these 3 people, if there's a pattern emerging, they're going to talk to me, but they will give the report out at your round 2 deliberations. Okay? Any other questions? I'm going to prepare a press release to send to Sarah. I'll copy Anna, and that will be sent out by the district. I also have headshots for all 3 of them, so I'll send those along with the press release. I'm also working on getting some abbreviated resumes, sort of a bio summary, because the resumes just don't go public because they're finalists. There's still private data in those resumes.
Right. Yeah.
So they're still redacted.
Yep.
So we're trying to put together simple one-pagers that we could have available for people next week at the interviews, just to get a little bit of a background on who they are and what they've done.
Okay.
All right? That's all I have for you tonight.
Okay. Well, thanks everyone. It's been a long evening. Great interviews. So the time is now 11:16, and having no further agenda items, I now call to adjourn this meeting of the Board of Education.